Time for Chevrolet Sportsnet Central update. The Celtics have advanced to the NBA Finals after beating the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics returning to the Finals for the first time since 2010. So how do the Celtics feel about facing the Golden State Warriors with the title on the line?
It's exciting. We view it as somebody, they got the game plan. They got the blueprint of being in the finals, winning it, the experience, and, we learn from it. We watch the video, we watch them and the organization and how they keep going, and we want to be just like that. We want to have that legacy too, and so being able to play those guys again the way we have been playing and then to meet them in the finals is only right.
It would be all for naught if we go lay an egg in the finals, and we understand that. Guys were quick to celebrate but quick to flip the page and say, we got 4 more. We don't hang or celebrate Eastern Conference championships in the Celtic organization. So we all fall in line and appreciate that.
Take a look now at Carrying the Load, which is presented by the Chevrolet Silverado. Since the 2014-15 season, the Celtics are 9-7 against the Warriors. Boston is the only team in the NBA that has a winning record against Golden State during that stretch. The C's with a plus 63 point differential in those 16 games, and of those 9 wins, 4 of them were double-digit victories. All right, let's bring in John Tomase alongside Cedric Maxwell for the Daily Thread. Max, just a simple question. Can the Celtics beat the Warriors, and how?
Absolutely, they can beat the Warriors, and they'll beat them because they will defend them better. I think one thing, they have a little bit more size when I think about Tatum and Brown on the wings. And then you have Marcus Smart at the initial point of attack. I love this opportunity that the Celtics have because most people right now, only thing I don't like about this is that we want to have a healthy Robert Williams, but you also at the same time, you think about the Warriors being home for the next 12 days since they finally won it.
Tomase, do you agree?
Yeah,
Still?
Yeah, for me, Trenni, absolutely. I mean, you've heard me say it a million times now over the last week. I absolutely think the Celtics can and really, frankly, should beat the Warriors. You laid out the numbers before. The Celtics have played them tougher than anyone. They are the only team in the NBA with a winning record against them since 2015. This is a team that's played 800 basketball against everybody else. They are sub 500 against the Celtics. They did it against Celtics teams, no disrespect, that started like Amir Johnson and Jonas Jerebko and guys like that. We're giving minutes to David Lee. This is a completely different, as Max said, it's a physical team. It is a long team. And just go back 3 years. I understand the Warriors are different than they were when they played the Raptors, but that Toronto team was tough and physical, just like this Celtics team. They took out the Warriors in 6 games. I'll go back to Max's playing career. When the Celtics had to make the finals, they had to go through Philly. They had to go through Detroit. They had to go through Bernard King. They had to go through Milwaukee, Jordan, you name it. It was tough, drag-out physical series. And then they would play a finesse team in the finals. I think you could see a little bit of that here benefiting the Celtics.
Max, what is it about a physical defense that seems to frustrate the Warriors, who you could argue is one of the best shooting teams in the NBA, one of the most consistent offensive teams in the NBA?
Well, they're tuxedo players. They don't want to be touched. I mean, you think about it, they want to play a clean, smooth basketball game. Very much like this team that I played against the Los Angeles Lakers in '84. The fact that they didn't want to be touched. We want to play finesse. We want to play showtime. Well, when you knock a guy on his ass a couple of times, then the whole tenor changes how they play. And I think the Celtics have to play that way of being physical, knocking Curry around. And here's the thing that most teams have done. They've involved Curry in every one of these defensive possessions. And I think that slows him down just a bit.
All right, good stuff, John Tomase. Don't go away. We'll check in with you again. But first, we need to take a look at the Ford Big Board. Built for America, built Ford proud. Since the 2015 season, this is the Celtics' first appearance in the NBA Finals, while the Warriors are making their 6th. Golden State 3 titles. No player on the Celtics roster has ever even played a game in the Finals. Golden State's players have 123 games to their credit. Let's bring in Chris Forsberg now alongside Cedric Maxwell. Forsberg, how much do you think experience will factor into this series?
Yeah, it's going to matter, right? Like, in part it will come down to how the Celtics respond. If things start going sideways early, if they fall behind early 1-0 in this series, like do they have the same resiliency, or is the Warriors the more composed team. And so I don't think the Celtics are going to necessarily be like wide-eyed and, oh my God, we're at the finals. But I do think they're part of it. It is a little bit of a spectacle, and got to go through your own little media day on Wednesday, and then it takes forever to get to the tip-off, although the West Coast time will help that. I'm just eager to see, because Ime's always had them mentally ready. Now, sometimes that doesn't always translate to the court, and they've sometimes needed the motivation of having that pressure on them. But I think they got to be great from the start here and show that they're not, afraid of a team that's been there, that they feel like they're on their level. And so I think they need to set the tone early, much like they did in Game 7.
Max, much has been made of the Celtics' regular season success against the Warriors, but we all know the postseason is a different animal. They have that experience, obviously, but, it's just a different beast. Like, if you're Ime Udoka, what do you say to this team to sort of mentally prepare them? And what is the biggest difference? Like, how do things change in the postseason and in the finals, versus the regular season?
I mean, there are a lot of guys who joke when they play in these big games. And, you get there and you say, the lights are too bright. I used to love Antoine Walker's comment. He said, in the finals and those kind of games, they put a little bit more butter on the popcorn. And that's what I truly believe. And the thing that I look at is this team, and you talk about Ime. What did he do? What did he say the other day? He turned the Celtic page and said, in the Celtic organization, we don't celebrate Eastern Conference championships. So we have to get ready right now to play in the World Championship and bring that banner home. That's how you turn the page. Celebrate a little bit, guys. And here's another thing, Forsberg, I like this. That's why we left you down in Miami. And the fact that you look at the Celtics, they took off last night and they came home. Was there some trouble to be brewing down in South Beach if you leave your players down there overnight to celebrate? How about bring them home? We got home about 4 or 5 in the morning, but now you're in your own beds and things can happen. You get back to your routine.
Well, and Forsberg, they also need rest. Like, we talked before Game 6 how important it was for them to wrap it up then because they could use the extra time. How much will that play a factor in this series? Just the fact that the Celtics have played a lot more than the Warriors have.
Yeah, I think it has to be a factor. 2 grueling 7-game series, but maybe there is something to the notion of you grind it through as much as you have to, and maybe facing more of a finesse team. Take some of the stress off of you. I don't know, but I think you have to keep that physicality going. And some of it will just come down to how healthy are they? Is Marcus Smart still moving good without the adrenaline of a Game 7? Is Robert Williams able to travel cross country and feel good? So they just got to be ready for the moment, and they've got to be ready to keep up what they've done in these last 2 rounds. I don't know how much a night in their own bed will help, because I don't think they got much sleep today, but they'll get one overnight tonight. And then they're back on the plane. But I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're just on the treadmill now and grinding through.
Yeah, good point, though, to not let them stay and party till South Beach. I don't think the bar's even closed there. All right, Forsberg, thanks very much. Celtics trio of Tatum, Brown, and Smart have combined this postseason for 65.4 points, 18 boards, and 15.6 rebounds per game. Warriors top 3 of Curry, Thompson, and Green have scored 54.4, 16.1, and 14.9. So the Celtics Big Three with better numbers than the Warriors. Let's bring in Tom Curran into the conversation. Which is, in your opinion, the better Big Three, Cedric Maxwell, the Celtics or the Warriors? Right now, not long term, but right now.
Celtics. And the reason why, because you have those guys are longer and more efficient, I think, on the defensive end. When I look at Tatum, I look at Brown, and I look at Smart. Those 3 guys to me, and you put Draymond Green, I guess you're saying that's their Big Three. You're talking about great shooters, but Draymond is the only guy that is really the true defender.
I would say it's the Warriors. And the reason is we can bring up 2 other guys on the Warriors.
Let me say what they say in Boston. You suck, man. Get out of here with that.
I don't know whether or not Jaylen Brown is better than Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is the same player as Jaylen Brown, if you ask me. Better defender than Jaylen Brown is. Better ball handler than Jaylen Brown is. Just not as rocked up, maybe not the same finisher, but we've seen the Andrew Wiggins dunks. So we're not even getting into Draymond Green, who might be the equal of Marcus Smart as an offensive player and certainly as a defensive player. Jason Tatum is better than Klay. He's better than Steph. So if I'm talking, and then I can get into Rob Williams, who might be in the Celtics Big Three, ahead of Smart or Jaylen Brown. So that's what makes this so fascinating to me. The size and defensive athleticism of the Celtics, Cedric, that you're talking about is exactly what's going to really make them muck it up and make it look ugly. The rhythm that we talk about that the Warriors want to use in their beautiful game offense is going to be messed up by Grant Williams and Rob Williams and all those guys. But I think that they have more talent.
Yeah, I think that you look at their team, yeah, they're talented, but I still like the Celtics in that. And then we talk about, I think it's the defensive player of the year. Oh, that's Marcus Smart would be on your team going against Steph Curry. I hope, Trenni, I hope they find this little thing where Steph Curry mocked Jaylen Brown about 2 or 3 years ago. He shot a jump shot on him, started pointing in his face. They didn't give him any kind of technical anything. Will that come back and bite them in the behind? Because I think Brown still has a grudge with that.
And that, to me, when you look at last night's game, you didn't see Grant Williams flip out. You barely saw Jason Tatum flip out. And there were occasions when they could have. I think keeping their poise, even if they get finger wagged, even if Draymond's in their face, and even if Steve Kerr is crying, keep your poise. Don't lose your mind because it's the finals. Don't try and match it. They got a way better chance.
I do like, though, that maybe there is some extra motivation because this team clearly plays better when they feel like they have to. The Celtics, when they feel like they have to.
Draymond is going to be kerosene for them if they let him be.
All right, Seth, thanks so much. Enjoy your time out west.